Hello. So this is the second time that I am starting a recording today, and both times the clock was like on the hour, like zeros. So that feels significant because in the Overflow Patreon I just recorded for, there was a lot of like the word adventure just has been coming through for the last 24 hours in so many ways. Zero, the Fool. So I also just felt this like a mellowing out. The last hour, I felt like the opposite. It was almost like a little bit of mania mixed with anxiety, like the energy. And I was like, I just don't want to record in this energy. So I channeled it into cooking, and then I let myself sort of ground the energy. I took a shower, So there could be a message there in itself as I'm like reflecting on this last hour or two that has been happening. When something might be coming in, just continuing to ground that. There's also something about like being flooded with like inspiration and ideas and maybe feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So if that's the case, or if maybe that's going to be coming in soon, it's sort of that reminder of grounding it, taking your time. Of course, acting on inspiration is important, but it's like discerning from rushing versus like inspired action. Yeah, and I had written in the last YouTube transmission prior to this one chronologically, 2016, the year 2016 could be coming up for you. Excuse me, and or a 10-year cycle. So if you're finding this at a different time, there's something about a 10-year cycle. And I wrote this the other day, and then I started seeing multiple people on YouTube like also posting about this. So I guess I just wanted to sit with it and see. But I was feeling that really strongly, and there's also something about updating your self-concept. So that could be something you're actively working through, and or something you may feel inspired to do after hearing this, because I was having a conversation with a friend today, and it inspired me to share about it because it felt like a collective energy, and it had been coming through a few other like one-to-one sessions or just other conversations. So this was sort of like just the right time, I suppose, to like tap into that more. And the analogy that came through was like something that comes through quite often, but sort of like when we have an updated software, in our phone or our computer, and some people choose to update, some people don't. Then every once in a while, there's like a forced update where like everything updates, but it's like that free will choice of there may be updates available, but you don't always have to take them. Or sometimes even if you take the update, you don't utilize like the new features right away. So there's just these like different scenarios that are coming through. This 10-year cycle ending, that zero, full energy, new beginning type of new cycle, new era. And just like taking the time to ground it, tap in, see what's calling you, see what maybe a lot of Joe Dispenza's like not old, but previous works kept rolling in my mind. So some of you may be tapping into that. But just the idea of like making decisions from your present and not just staying in any loops, especially if you've been like doing that sort of internal introspection, karma clearing, ancestral karma clearing, transmutation, alchemy. It's just like an invitation to check in to see if there's any outdated systems or networks that maybe are just kind of running on autopilot. And it's interesting because that word autopilot came through a recent transmission, and I knew there was going to be more to it, and it's kind of coming up now. And I just heard the word shame. So yeah, this is, if any shame comes up with this, you can just sit with that and release as you feel called. Any like releasing rituals or stuff like that you may feel called to could be helpful right now. I know a lot of people are tapping into, in a few days, it's going to be, like 11/11 or whatever on the calendar. So, if that's something you feel called to. I kept seeing something about 11:10. I kept seeing the number 11:10, and I wasn't really like getting anything. But then today when I got out of the shower, I just like was flashed 11:10. So how sometimes when someone's really sensitive and there's like a collective imprint, so people will use the example of like holidays, like we have such a collective imprint on like New Year's Eve and Christmas or New Year's Day, like, so there's something about like, yes, tapping in on 11/11, but there's something about like when the ethers are a little bit more quiet or something like this. It could be a certain time of day, but if you feel called preemptively, like I'm hearing to trust that. I kept hearing Bob Marley like over and over again, and then I heard a song, I don't remember, is it Beanie Siegel or Beanie Man? My older sister and my brother-in-law used to like love the song. They're like 12 years older than me, so I grew up like listening to their music too, like their generation of music. And it was like ring-a-ling-a-ling, school bell ring, something, knife and fork. I can hear it in my head, but like I'm having a hard time getting it out. Boyaka, boyaka. Yeah, for some reason that song or like reggae could be coming up for some of you. Or there could be something significant about that. I also just heard the phrase collective thoughts and collective prayers. So some of you may be tapping into any natural disasters around the world. Maybe some like etheric storms I'm seeing. So yeah, I don't know why I said it like that. So yes, there may be this is a lot about like collective imprints and your own energetic signature and how it relates to the collective as well as yourself. The ancestral lineages, forward, backward, present, and how you're going to continue to show up, but also from this place of continuing to check in with yourself. So yeah, that feels, woo. I thought I had been speaking for about like 3 minutes, and it's been almost 9 minutes. So time might feel a little bit wonky right now. Also, Bohemian Rhapsody was coming through when Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm having such a hard time getting certain things out. That's been all day, actually for a few days, so maybe there's some interesting Mercury transit going on that I haven't tapped into, but why is Bohemian Rhapsody coming through? In particular, the opening part of the song where it's slower, like right before it speeds up. So yeah, I feel like that's also a collective energy. Also the part, my body's aching all the time, that really stood out to me. So some of you could be sort of going through the nooks and crannies and releasing like any maybe like aches, pains, lingering body tension. Some of you may be into like somatic practices, qigong, tai chi, or just like sort of letting your, yoga or whatever it is, like letting your body kind of like guide you through something. There's been a lot of hip hip releasing that's been coming through collectively, as well as like posture. Like maybe some of you are really feeling called or have been working with your posture and doing some exercises around that. In particular, like under the chin and the back of the neck, the top of the shoulders. That's really coming through strongly. I've also been like craving some foods that I don't usually feel like I want to ingest, but stuff that maybe is labeled not as good for you, you know, like the last day or so. It wasn't anything too intense, but I had a few moments and I did eat a few things I don't usually eat. So there could be like, of course, always like check in with yourself. I'm not a medical professional. This is just from like, I'm like slurring my words. I haven't had anything to drink. Maybe some of you like have been feeling an itch to like feel like intoxicated or something, or inebriated. I don't know. That's just coming through for a few people maybe. But yeah, it's kind of like, whew. I'm hearing a lot of music right now. Maybe some of you are getting clairaudient activation and or really hearing messages through music, lyrics, poems, etc. I know my mom loves this song. I don't know who sings it. Take a load off Manny. Take a load for free. Yeah, there's something about, just like treating yourself. And you know, everyone has their own version of treating yourself. Like maybe it doesn't look like some of the things that I just gave as an example. It's so funny because like the older version of me would have absolutely deleted this and started over, like 100%. But I'm trusting that this is the energy and I'm bringing it through anyway. So there could be things like that too. Like maybe you're looking back on like, you know, perfectionism is coming through, imposter syndrome. Yeah, so these are maybe some of the dated systems or programs that I was speaking on earlier that may be coming up for review. Some of you, it may just literally be like, oh, wow, I have come quite far, you know? So in the last overflow that I recorded for the previous YouTube transmission, crystalline skull consciousness, guardian transmission, something of that nature. I had so much fun recording the overflow and I felt inspired, so I'm writing a Substack article. Well, I started it, but anyway, so really interesting theme sort of showed itself as I was doing the recording. And there was this sort of like mirror effect, if you will, of certain systems or particularly like crystalline encoded gnosis, you know, knowledge through different like cultural perspectives, generations, type of higher ascension mechanic teachings or lineages, you know, like chelantic science, anthroposophy. Like there was just these different threads that I sort of was unearthing, if you will. Also the Temple of Isis, sort of like sex magic mysteries, was also weaving through this. And something that really came through strongly was the reflection of, you know, those of us who are interested in the basically cellular and DNA crystalline alchemy, and how some of these more externally mythos encoded ideologies like the CGT plates and the crystalline, the crystal skulls, and how it's mirrored in like the re-encryption of the crystalline consciousness within the human. So if that interests you, I do go much deeper into that on Patreon in the skull consciousness overflow. And I was tapping into sort of so many different energetic strands that I'll probably continue that flow into this overflow. But I just wanted to touch on it a little bit because, yeah, it really did also anchor in through, for some of you that feel connected to some of these, like light encoded lineages, like the blue flame Melchizedeks were coming through really strongly, and the Emerald Sun DNA, as well as the Emerald Founders. So I've noticed some, shall we say, strong themes coming up, and the Hierophant in Tarot, which I believe is ruled by Taurus, and I've been hearing Taurus and Hierophant, like, I can't even tell you how many times in the last day or so. So the collective energy right there sort of was rippling through, like the high priest energy, which can manifest, and like the wizard, like the masculine wizard. So like Merlin, Hermes, Thoth. And I do dive a little bit into this also in that overflow Patreon I was speaking on, like a little bit deeper. But some of these just wanted to come through if anyone's having those sort of like archetypes, beings come through. Also, Akhenaten was coming through, and the title of the Mary or the Mari, the name, throughout different lineages, especially related through the Temple of Isis, how the initiates were like Mary or Mari was a title, apparently. And so, yeah, these two sort of, if you want to call them templates, were coming through really strongly, as well as there has been this like collective energy for the masculine polarity that sort of weaves through these transmissions. And I always invite you to utilize it as an internal aspect of you, and or could also potentially be someone externally to you as well. And the word just healing was coming through so strongly. Like there's this like, I'm seeing someone like face themselves, like look into, I'm not even seeing a mirror. I'm seeing like particularly one of those like silver trays that like sometimes gets tarnished, but you can somewhat see a reflection. Like that's what I'm seeing. And it's like the reflection's a little bit murky, and it's like, oh, I think I'm ready. There's like this, the word just healing has been coming through, like ready to face things that maybe prior it just was not time or what have you. So that was coming through also super strongly. And when I just went to move my hand, my right thumb got like so stiff and I couldn't move it. And for me, the right connected to the masculine side and the thumb, the fire element. So, my thumb just cracked. Did you hear that? It was very subtle, so maybe not. But yeah, there's something about like masculine fire movement, right? So internal passions, external passion energy, whatever it is, one, both, there's like movement. It's like there's unstuckness. And you don't really think of fire as being stuck. So that kind of came through in a weird way. But it's kind of taking me to the Kundalini in the body, and how through different clients or just energetic scans that I've done, sometimes it feels like the Kundalini, like if it's moving through, will have like, kind of like, the whole water, river, rock analogy, where like there's like an obstruction with the rock and it may change the direction or the course. It's kind of like that analogy is coming through, but with the fire element. I also had a very interesting, to say the least, memory of my dream flash to me when I woke up today. And a father figure who I don't really see much anymore, but like, let's say an archetypal father figure, asked me in my dream if I had heard of the new plant medicine called Matrix, plant matrix. And I woke up like, what? And then today, multiple messages came through YouTube talking about the word matrix. So I knew that there was a collective energy there. And the connection upon which the person was asking me sort of felt a little bit demeaning. Like, oh, you haven't heard of this yet? Like, what's wrong with you? You know? Now, I want to break down the word matrix because I love to do things like this. So matrix, an environment or material in which something develops a surrounding medium or structure. And then we have, I know matrix comes from the Latin word matrix, but with some dashes, you know, like how the phonetic can look, meaning, quote, womb, which is derived from mater, meaning mother. I did know that, but I wanted to read it in a more, like, definitive way. Its original meaning was a uterus, but it evolved to mean that which encloses or gives origin to something, leading to its use in various contexts like geology, biology, and mathematics. The term was formally applied to mathematical arrays by James Joseph Sylvester in 1850. There's been a lot coming through today about like the 18 and 1900s, or the 19th and 20th centuries. The other day I had written down the word womb because it was coming through so strongly, so I love that it's coming through right now. Yeah. So, mother, matrix, plant medicine, mother, mater, mother. So this can be literal for some of you, you know, working with like a mother plant or a mother spirit of a plant. But there's also, because of the way that the message kind of seeped in, like I said, it felt not invasive, but a little bit like, what's that expression people say? Like keeping up with the Joneses, you know, like, oh, you haven't heard of this yet? Like you're so behind kind of thing. So yeah, maybe there's something coming in about that. Like you may be having like dreams, visions, something, maybe like a kind of a forewarning, like something may be trying to creep back into your reality that you sort of have already, you know, when we think about integrating the matrix, it's like integrating a system that you no longer subscribe to anymore. So there could be something like that. And this is just kind of a heads up. This also could be like trusting yourself when it comes to anything, you know, that you put in your body in general, whether it's a plant medicine or a snack or a food, like not allowing other people to dictate like what's good, quote, and bad, you know, because sometimes like if our body's craving something, I know there's like a lot of course, like medical nuances and like things to look at on a deeper level. So that's up to us, right, as individuals to check in with our body and see what's going on. But yeah, there's something really like about body sovereignty that's coming through this message that I didn't expect. Yeah. There's like a parasitic energy that's really been coming through, and I can't even tell you the details right now, but, you know, and there are people out there posting information about parasites and how to like, you know, do like a cleansing, like maybe once a year to like keep up with that, and different natural remedies to assist with that. But at the same time, as much as it's important to be aware and to be educated and again, like know your own body, there also comes with it like a little bit of fear. I don't know if fear mongering is the right word, but like, oh, this causes parasites, this does that, you know? So there's something about like balancing. I know I went through phases. I was talking about this with my sister actually, where I was like a bit neurotic with, like I wanted nothing in my house that had any sort of like, back when I had my own place. Like, I overthought every single thing I put into my body. You know, it was like exhausting. And honestly, that caused more stress than sometimes just letting myself enjoy. And I feel like a lot of us go through these, you know, like pendulum swing moments. So there could be, it doesn't have to be around health in particular, but there is something about like the pendulum swinging. And again, I am not advising anyone to do anything in particular. This is just an energy of like, if you have gone through this or you're going through this, this just might be something you can relate to. The middle path is something that comes through a lot on this channel. And I feel like this, for, you know, a group of beings that feel connected to that, you know, there may be some people in their, if you want to call it like a soul contract, where maybe they're not there yet and they need to be in more of the extreme, you know, and that's totally okay as well. I just feel like if you're listening to this, there may be a more middle of the road or something that's maybe you're stepping into or that you desire. You know, and there are some things that maybe you just know are not any longer for you, and that's also totally okay. I definitely have experiences like that as well. Okay, so if you're still here at this point, it feels like the plant matrix dream that I was just tapping into, I had written down also. You know how some people, you say like the phrase hacking matrix codes came through, and I don't like love saying things like that, but if I feel something really strongly, I do share it. And there's an analogy that a reader I used to listen to a while ago, she's amazing, she used to say, and it always is something that I felt internally and intuitively. So when she said it, I was like, you know, like if you grew up playing video games or you've seen someone play video games, and in certain games you can get these, like, they call them like cheat codes, but really like in order to even be able to utilize them well, like you still have to know the game, you know, at least that's how I remember it. So it's kind of like these hacking matrix codes. Is that what I said? Hacking matrix codes. It's like something that you already really embodied. Is like now there's these codes coming through that align with ease, you know, path of least resistance kind of thing. It's also like I'm being shown Mario when I was obsessed with Mario as a kid, so that's probably why this is coming through the strongest. But through each board or realm that Mario goes through, you know, he can have these different like bonuses that help him out, like the feather where he can fly for a certain amount of time, or, you know, it's like these, going back to that magician energy and the tarot, and like Merlin, Thoth, Hermes, like these different high priest archetypes coming through. It's like utilizing these tools or these level ups that come to us with certain embodiments and matrix embodiments. So it's not like necessarily cheating. It's more like utilizing these crystalline DNA consciousness codes that some of us are re-encrypting and reconnecting back into that. So something also came through from someone that I just saw pop up on my feed, Dana Kipple, and she was talking about, I've been talking about like angels and the original word that was actually translated as angles, so like angles of light, and somehow I can't remember how it got changed to angels, and she did like a really, I find, fascinating quick reel about it, and the connection through the dimensions and plasma, and how the essentially like angles of light, she showed like this video basically, or a picture in her video of a torus field. I always call it a torus. It's not, it's a torus. Earlier I was talking about Taurus, the astrological zodiac, Taurus. Now I'm talking about a Taurus, Taurus, and our toroidal field, our aura. And when it's she showed like the awakened Taurus field, and then she quick switched it with a picture of like a being, like an angelic being, or how we depict angelic beings with the wings, and it was like the same shape. And I love that because she was basically saying like the angles of light that make up our Taurus field is like how we may call an angel, right? So a re-encrypted being. And I've had really interesting astral experiences meeting an aspect of, if you want to call it, the crystalline angelic being that upon which I'm connected, is how I phrased it. And she did give me a name and a dimension. I'm not going to get into that in this moment because maybe I'll save that for the overflow. And I have spoken about it probably in other channels on this YouTube platform. But there is something about that, like maybe you are reconnecting with these aspects of yourself, or maybe that's something that interests you. Okay, I think that's all that's coming through for this portion, this transmission. Thank you so much. And I will be continuing on Patreon Overflow. Yeah. For some reason, I just saw the, what's it called? Like when a newscaster, a sign off. Like in particular, I was seeing, wow, I haven't watched this movie in a really long time. Anchorman. When, what is Ron Burgundy? Stay classy, San Diego. I don't know why I just heard that so clearly. Maybe someone just watched Anchorman, or someone's an anchor, or there's something about like a sign off. I've also been getting a lot about intros. Like, I don't have an intro on this channel. Maybe I'll create one. But yeah, maybe you're like working on an intro for something, or a sign off, or both. Like, or if you're starting some sort of like, you know, social media or podcast, YouTube channel, TikTok, whatever it is, like maybe you've been practicing something like that. I don't know. I'm just seeing that. Maybe watching something funny or silly, or going to like an event of like a lighthearted nature is coming through for some of you. Oh, and I just heard in my head sorpresa, which I believe is surprise in Italian. I don't know why. Sometimes I'll hear it in Italian. Sorpresa. Yeah. So it feels like there's also, a surprise coming in. And as soon as I said that, my, what is this? My throat. The like a little bit of the right side of my center throat area, like felt like it was being pinched, but not in like a terrible way, in like a very lightly caressed way. Oh yeah. There's a surprise. Well, that's exciting. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, one more thing popped in before I officially, temptation, when I was talking about the dream I had earlier with the plant matrix, plant medicine matrix. Yeah, there could be some, I may have already mentioned this, but I just wanted to emphasize the potential. I know I've been feeling that energy a bit, and maybe more than a bit. Yeah, so some of you may be feeling that way as well. Yeah, so just I heard that phrase in my head, keep your eye on the prize, you know, continuing to foster your discernment. The word introspection also has been coming through, so you may be feeling pulled to like deep rest, meditation, practices that help bring you back to your center, like a little bit more than usual. Even if you're someone who's pretty routine with that, you just may feel like you need a little bit more of that time right now. Yeah. Okay. That is all. Thank you.